Well, so when I was like, I guess it was like, it's like a multifaceted thing, I guess, it is how this happened for me. Um, when I was a really little kid, I really wanted to be a photographer. I didn't know that graphic designers existed, but I think that like graphic designer was what I wanted to do deep down. I just didn't know about it because like I was way more into like editing photos than I was into actually taking them, it turned out, and like just like messing with them and doing crazy things with them and applying them to different things instead of just like a photo as a photo, you know what I mean? And actually in sixth or seventh grade, I won a national photo contest, which was pretty cool. I took like a picture of a daddy long leg spider just in the woods. It was like a close up. I did not expect to win with that photo. I mean, I was like, that's a cool picture, but I didn't think that it would like win first place. But it did. And I was like, I'm not going to complain, you know, but it was like, it was pretty cool to have like my hobby validated. And also, my dad growing up was an advertising director for a magazine, just like local around here. It's called Landline Magazine. It's a trucking magazine out of Green Valley. And so like whenever I went to work with him for like take your kid to work day or just popping into the office or whatever, like he always had me going hanging out with like the creative team, which was like 2 people. And I mean, I don't mean to like be negative, but like they weren't like the cream of the crop, but it was still super cool. I thought that like what they were doing was awesome. They were using like InDesign, obviously. And I was like, ooh, these programs, these are cool. So just like getting that exposure and then like pairing that with my like pre-existing interest in photography, I was like, this just feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a similar path. It's funny that you talked about like a trucking magazine and it not being like that's better than what I had. I mean, I was a kid who could draw. It wasn't so it wasn't photography, it was drawing. And then I didn't know this was a profession at all, but I senior year of high school, I went to the place where they make yearbooks or whatever, and there was like
Oh
a
yeah.
graphic designer who like did the covers, whatever. I'm like, that's pretty cool, I guess, you know.
That's actually really interesting because like the designs of so many yearbook covers, they're like a very specific style, you know? I would love to watch somebody design that.
The a ton of us have been in yearbook. Like it's no surprise, like
Yeah.
half of us have done yearbook class. Like that's a great exposure, I think. But I remember our yearbook teacher was like kind of pushing me to the front. They're like, you should be, you know, you should pay attention to this guy. Like she was trying to say, hey, this is an option for you, you know, because I grew up in a really small town. I didn't know what this stuff was at all.
Yeah.
But I remember he's like, what do you guys want to do? We're like, this is our mascot. He like kind of draws it, and then someone's like, make his eyes like hypnotic. He's like, all right, and did that. I was like, dang, this is your job? I'm like, that's pretty cool.
That's the coolest job ever.
But you like at the time, like you don't know any better. You don't even know what options are out there. So you're like,
Yeah,
this guy's like drawing pictures for a living. Like that's didn't know that was possible.
that's pretty dope. Yeah.
So did you study photography in college, or did you, or was design the thing that hooked you? You'd already been hooked on design.
I was pretty hooked on design and actually for my I have 2 degrees. I have like a bachelor's degree in film studies is what I ended up getting my degree in. And then I have an associate's degree in graphic design. And when I went to get my bachelor's degree, I originally signed up for the graphic design program, but I quickly left. I couldn't tell you why, because I was stupid and I didn't know what I was doing or what I wanted to do when I was having an existential crisis, perhaps. And I just kind of like hopped around to a bunch of different things. And I wound up with film studies because I liked film, you know, and I still like film, but it's kind of hard to get a job in film out here. And I just don't feel like I don't want to say that my skills don't lend themselves to that as much, but I feel like in order to like find success in the film industry, you have to be either have to have connections or you gotta like have the dedication and passion for it. Like that's like tunnel vision, you know what I mean? And I just didn't have that. So I was like, let's find something else. Graphic design, that's still there. You love that too, Caitlin. Let's go back to school for graphic design, and then like delving into it like as a profession and learning about all the different avenues that it can take you down. I was like, okay, this is pretty legit actually. And like I really I feel like I've found a niche in like the digital design area. I'm like so stoked about it.
So yeah, you took a bit of you went on kind of like walkabout trying to figure out what you wanted to do. Then you found graphic design again for maybe a second time. And then that's probably a good thing. It helped confirm that this is right for you. It's better than 20 years later wanted to do that, right?
Exactly. It didn't take me that long, but it took longer than I wish it had, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. But now that you're starting to find your niche in digital design, what about it is interesting to you? Like, what about your day? What are some of the highlights if you're able to kind of do what you want to do during your day?
Right now, I really like that there's variety in it. So like there's like digital ads, which uses like one part of my brain, but then there's like UI and web design, and that uses a whole other different side of my brain. And I like purpose behind design. Like I was never really good at like the projects in school that were like super illustrative or super like no guidelines, no rhyme or reason to things, just like design a poster. Okay, for what and why? You know what I mean? Like I need the parameters. I need the like logical reasoning behind everything. And I feel like that plays a huge role in like both like ad design and web design. I mean, really all design, best design in all like areas is like the smartest design. But I feel like you like literally cannot design a usable website if you're just throwing shit on a page.
Why do you think it's hard to be creative without constraints?
Because there's just too much out there. There's too many possibilities.
We all love the idea of like fewer constraints until we don't have them, and then we're like, oh, I can't do anything with this. But then sometimes you have too many, and then you're like, oh, I'm boxed in.
Yeah, it's like two completely opposite challenges that make me feel the exact same way. Like, I don't know, whenever there's like so many constraints, I guess, like when I first started working as a professional within pre-existing brands, it's just like, well, how can I be creative with this? It's already done, like it's already laid out there for me. How do I apply any creative thought to this to make it better? Or, but I feel like it's something I've gotten used to, I guess. And it's just like little things that you can add. I don't know.
What are some of the areas in digital design that you have the most interest right now? Either because you feel like you're really getting better at it, you really got a handle on it, or maybe you're at the very beginning, you're just trying to learn it and it's interesting to you.
I really like web design a lot. I've been working on the landing pages for the native website these days, and I've been going a little too hard on it, I think, getting a little bit too creative, spending a little bit too much time on it, but it's just because I like it. And I think that I don't know, since it is native's website, I feel like there's like a little bit more room to like explore, at least like at the early stages, and then reel it in. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've just been having a lot of fun with that. I love Figma, the program. I had not used that before I started this job, and it's practically all I use now for everything. It can do it all. It's amazing. And I am just like, it's like tip of the iceberg where I'm at with it right now, but it's still like a fantastic tool. And I'm basically telling everybody to use Figma, and they're like, isn't that just for like app design? And I'm like, no, it does it all. mean, I wouldn't like design a magazine in it, but as far as digital applications go.
It's pretty cool. Before that, I felt like everybody was like ditching Photoshop for Sketch, and then very quickly like ditch Sketch for Figma is what I
Yeah.
observed. And I honestly was like a little bit jealous because I'm not in those programs much anymore. I was like, I kind of want to use this program, but I don't really have a reason to anymore.
It's so collaborative too. And it's just like now whenever I use anything that's not Figma, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to share this with anybody? I can't just shoot them a link. I think Photoshop's trying to get there though. I think they're really pushing to like meet that level
Have
of
to.
collaboration. Yeah. So I'm excited to see how like what Adobe does to compare, but they're not there yet.
There'll be a lot of imitation and copycat stuff for a while. It's just a beast of a application. It just does so much for so many people. So
They're trying with XD, and it's been a while since I've used XD, but it was not nearly as good.
yeah. Whenever you were in the interview process with us, what were some of did you have expectations about what working at Native would be like, that now that you're here, you're like, yep, that's as expected, or maybe no, that's different. That's not what I thought it would be?
It's pretty much exactly what I expected. I was like a big Native fan before I started working here. I don't know how many people who come here have like had the awareness of Native for like years ahead of time, but I did. And you were like high on my list of places that I like wanted to work, like dream job kind of scenarios, because I just thought that the work that you did was so cool. And I thought your website was really good. And I was like, man, and they're just like, they're around here, they're local, but they're doing work that doesn't look like it's from around here. I was very impressed. And I knew that you guys were like plowing ahead in like the digital realm, which is what I wanted to do. So I was like, yeah, I gotta get a job in Native Digital.
How would you describe our team to somebody who, I don't know, maybe they were thinking about working here, or maybe it was a client who's going to meet us, but they haven't met us yet? Like, how would you describe us?
As people?
Just as a team. Let's say you're meeting somebody, you're like, yeah, I'm going to meet them next week. How would you give them a heads up?
I would say that they're very warm. Everybody here has just been like super warm, welcoming, and like I get negative feedback on things, but it never feels like I'm getting negative feedback on things. Like it's framed in a way that I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just take negative feedback well, because I'm always just like, yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes, I am on board with your negative feedback. I don't know, but I also just feel like everybody's really nice. Everybody's super nice. Everybody's super professional and smart. Everybody's like the smartest people that I've like ever talked to in my life. Like,
isn't that fun though? Like working with people that you're impressed by?
Yeah, but it's also scary. It's new. Like I've never had that before. I feel like in my past, I've always been like one of the smartest people in the room. And then I come here and I'm like, I'm a dumb.
Oh man, I don't know if that's true or not, but it is. I've always gotten a big thrill out of working with people where it's like, man, you're sharp, and I feel good because I'm going to learn from them, even just through osmosis, like just being around them, and that makes me feel good. Like I'll probably be sharp too if I'm just around people like that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely like forces you to flex your brain muscles constantly. Got to keep up.
Yeah, I suppose it could be a little intimidating for some, but hopefully that's offset by just our approach. And like you use the word warm, which is nice to hear, right? Like, so if you're in a warm environment, then I think it's okay to work with some smarties, because it's not like they're trying to hold it over you, right?
Yeah, and I know you've like spoken to this in the past where like you get the sense that people are super cutthroat at places that you've worked in. And I don't get that vibe here at all. Like nobody's trying to put anybody down for the sake of putting them down or like just to get ahead themselves. It's very like team collaborative. We all want to win together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of books and advisors and information out there for, you know, leaders on how do you get the most out of your team and or individuals on your team. And I think a lot of that stuff you have to be really careful about because it will lead to individual performance at the cost of the team. And you have to decide which one do you want. Do you want a handful of like really high performers who potentially step on people, or a team where some of the high performers maybe are taking their time to like bring other people with them. I don't believe either one is right or wrong, but I know which one I prefer personally, and it's the team aspect.
Yeah. I feel like you see that a lot with like basketball teams. You've got your teams that are like, it's a real true team effort. And then you've got the teams where they just like bring in LeBron James and they're like, okay, when is a championship?
Yeah. One of those is more enjoyable than the others.
Oh yeah, for sure. But then like the thing about basketball, not to go off on a tangent, is that they always end up bringing all of their friends with them. So then maybe it is more of a team effort. I don't know.
Oh man, you're gonna drag me into deep spiral on basketball analogies if we keep going. Like I'm a sucker for that stuff, so probably change subjects.
I don't actually know very much about basketball at all.
Well, yeah, I like that. Then you should just keep using those basketball analogies and like always make sure to like use it just a little bit off. She loves basketball, but I don't think she knows what she's talking about.
You know, the 6 players on the court at a time.
Yeah. That's good. I actually do overuse sports analogies all the time, so I gotta be careful. I think I have a quota of like no more than 3 a week, so I try to stick to it.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're looking forward to? Is there anything that you've thought about like professionally that you're looking forward to in the next, I don't know, year or so, just like either learning or growing into or any of that type of thing?
Man, I feel like I'm already doing it. Like, I feel like I'm on the track that I want to be on. It's hard for me to think of anything right now, like new to add in there. You know, I just kind of want to continue down the path that I'm on. And then I'm sure at some point, I'm sure something else will come up. But right now, I'm super excited about web stuff.